Good evening, wherever you are watching us from. Good evening from Japan. This is Ghana from Japan coming to you live on Jafric Radio on YouTube, and Jafric Radio on Facebook. My name is Dr. Prince
One
DACOSTA
organ raises
ABOAGYE,
cholesterol, but most
and
doctors never make the
today
connection.
too
Here's what's actually
we are
happening.
we are bringing to you Ghana from Japan, as we always do every second and fourth Saturdays of every month. I'm sure that you have been following what is going on in Ghana, and if you are in Ghana, you know what we've been experiencing over the days. And we are talking about the perennial floods that the country, especially the capital city Accra, is experiencing. Um, a bit of history about Accra's floods. It started, I think that the first record was on 1935, and 91 years, we are still discussing Accra's flood, and we are still trying to find solutions to Accra's flood. One of the devastating events that we encountered was on 2015, June 3rd, 2015, which killed more than 200 people. Just recently, June 6, 2026, we also experienced another devastating flood in the capital city, which is reported to have killed over 20 people, and a lot of people have also lost their assets and properties. We are here today to discuss Accra's floods, and as we indicated on our flyers, we are not here to blame anyone. We are trying to learn from what has happened and see if our experts can help us to come out with some solutions. So that's why we are here. As I said, my name is Dr. Prince DACOSTA ABOAGYE, and today I will be your host for this program. Join me on Facebook, Jafric Radio, on YouTube, Jafric Radio, and let's discuss Accra's floods, discussing possible solutions beyond the blame games. I always say that there is nothing like natural disasters. What we are experiencing now is not a natural disaster. It's actually an extreme end or an extreme event of a natural hazard. It has become a disaster because we've not put the necessary solutions in place. And today we are coming to discuss some of these solutions. I have with me in the studio uh, Dr. Florette. My own Dr. Florette is here with me, and we are coming to discuss Accra's floods. I also have with me Dr. Ni Amakwe Komi. Dr. Ni Amakwe Komi. Dr. Florette is a medical doctor and a public health specialist. And then Dr. Ni Amakwe Komi is a geospatial and environmental scientist. We also have Mr. Fred Otrisian. Mr. Fred is a geologist specialist. And then last but not the least, Mr. Samuel Papa Owusu Kwesi. He is an artificial intelligence specialist. So today we are coming to discuss within the next 30 to 45 minutes what is going on with our crest floods and what are some of the possible solutions that our experts can help us to tease out, and probably those listening to us back home can send the information to the appropriate authorities. If they need be, we can also come together and write a memo as experts from different backgrounds and send to those in authority, telling them that we've, based on our experience and what we've learned, we think if we do this and this and this, it can help us. So ladies and gentlemen, you are welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And thank you very much for joining me and for this program. And I must say that our sympathies goes out to uh, those families and friends back in Accra, those who has been affected by this event. We our sympathies goes on to. And I think all of us also share the same sentiments that our sympathies. I've seen that there are some reliefs that are going on, and I don't know if it's an appropriate solution or probably just a part of recovery for just part of the recovery processes for them. But I will start with Dr. Flores. So, Doc, your personal experience, have you experienced any flood event personally? Where were you? How did you feel? If you've experienced some of these things before.
Yeah, so my first flood experience was in Ghana, and
Hmm.
um, in 2015, when um, the flooding occurred, I think it led to an explosion at Kwame Nkrumah Circle, and it
Oh,
was
you
very
were there.
devastating. Yeah, I was there.
Hmm.
Yes, yeah, and
Wow.
at that time, I was in Kolebu, and so it was not too far from us. And hearing the news, the flood itself wasn't scary, but hearing the news of the explosion actually got me thinking and worried about a lot of things. And I knew
Hmm.
someone who lost his loved one, and so it was pretty close
Hmm.
to me, closer to me than other people. So it did hit me
Wow.
hard, and it
Wow.
was it was a hard time, I believe, for the entire country. So that
Hmm.
was my experience in 2015.
Yeah, 2015. A cousin of mine also lost his girlfriend. They were all in Legon at that time, and it was very devastating, very devastating. In fact, the guy couldn't really date again till now because they were very close, and that's 11 years. Yeah, we are even trying to encourage him to marry, but he's still holding on to what happened in 2015. Dr. Ni, what about you? Any experience, whether here in Japan or uh, back home in Ghana? Do you have any experience with a flood event?
Thank you very much. Personally, I haven't had any experience of that nature with the floods. Anytime I hear of rains, I move to Highland. So I live not far from the Kwame Nkrumah Circle. However, anytime it's raining, if I'm close by, move to Highland, either towards the Nima side, just move out of the area
Mm,
because I know
mm,
it's prone to flood. And in Japan, similarly, I'm in a mountainous region. So
mm,
anytime it rains, the water rather goes down towards those are the coastal regions.
mm, mm. Okay, sure. Okay, so Mr. Fred, what about you? Can you share with us any personal experience, if
Yeah,
any?
just, I mean, similar to me, I've not personally experienced one. Luckily for me, where I live in Accra, we don't experience this kind of flood. But yeah, I've seen videos and I know of stories of people. So maybe that's the only experience I have about flooding. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, so let me also remind those who are watching us uh, on YouTube and Facebook that you can also join us, share your comment, your opinions with us on the Facebook comment or YouTube, and then read. Yes, if you want to also send us a WhatsApp message for us to read, you can join us. If you are in Ghana, you just have to start with a +81 and then 7042319331. If you are in Japan, it's 07042319331. Okay, so Mr. Samuel, Papa, I think I like calling you Papa, yeah, because
Yeah,
I
Papa is
had
fine.
a friend who is also called Papa. So what about you? Any personal experience with flood?
Um, yes, it wasn't a severe flood. I mean, the flood was building up maybe 2 years ago in Adenta, but when it was building up, what we realized that the main bridge was choked. There was a board that was blocking
Hmm.
all the water, so we quickly removed it, and that prevented anything worse. But aside that, I've not experienced anything so severe.
Hmm. Okay. Okay, sure. So, Dr. Ni, you are the geospatial and environmental scientist. Recently, the president, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, gave various, you know, attributes to the fact that these factors are causing the flood. He talked about um, indiscipline and other stuff. But you, per what you've read and from your background, why do you think 91 years across the floods?
It's interesting because I realize from what I've read, it's basically about understanding our spatial environment and enforcing whatever we know. Because we know the various zones that are prone to flood, we know the number of people residing in various areas. So if there is rainfall increase somewhere, we know the routes it's going to take. So if we have people staying in those waterways, we put them there because we have various institutions that are supposed to be doing and supporting people in that regard. So personally, regarding the challenges, sadly to say, as Ghanaians, we know all the problems and we
Hmm.
set up all the institutions. But the key thing is the institutions are working separately.
Hmm.
So you realize urban roads working differently, separately, NADMO separately, everyone is working separately. When something happens, we are expecting them to coordinate some rescue plan. And even before the floods occurred, I heard of a new institution, GARID. There's
Hmm.
GARID and there's various institutions set up, the flood mitigation group and all those groups. But when the situation happened, I was following the developments back in Ghana, and from what I heard, various institutions don't know who is going where, who is supporting what. They don't know what equipment they have. So the challenge is severe, and we know the problems, but it's lack of enforcement. That's one key thing. Lack of enforcement, coordination
Hmm.
between institutions. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so um, what you are saying basically is that we have more of governance and legislative issues, and this is intensifying the issue, right? Mr. Fred, you as a geological or geology specialist, right? What is it with the, how should I even call it, geomorphology of Accra? Is it causing, is it playing a part in these floods? Because again, we've also been hearing people talking about the fact that, oh, Accra lies, in a steep area. It's more of a downstream, so whatever comes from the plains comes directly to Accra and all that. Can you also enlighten us, what is it with the geomorphological setting of Accra that is causing this flooding?
Yeah, I mean they are not far from right.
Hmm.
As we all know, Accra is quite low lying area. It's close to the it's a low lying coastal plain, right? Close to the coast
Hmm.
and other drainage channels. So um, of course, especially from the um, high areas, when there is rainfall, there will be a lot of runoff coming down into the low-lying areas. And so naturally, these areas will tend to experience or get more water, right? And we need to know what is also underneath the earth, underneath the environment, the physical environment. And these places are, what kinds of soils are there. So as Neil was saying, um, we know what to do, or we have the information, but I feel it's sparse. It's not, we don't have it in the right details. Okay. So we can do all the engineering we want to do, but if we do not understand the geology of the areas, it will be difficult, right? You can you can build all the big drainage, but if they are not well connected, okay, and the runoff is coming from the high areas, it will still cause a lot of problems downstream. So yeah, for Accra, it's a very low-lying area, most parts of Accra, and the soils over there also do not allow water to infiltrate it so easily. Okay, so they hold the water
Okay.
for a long time, and so all these are sort of factors that affect Accra. The geology itself is naturally prone to flooding. Yeah.
Okay. So we are looking at more of a complex situation, more of an interconnected from the geological aspect to policy planning, governance, to a whole lot of things.
Mm.
Let me
Yeah.
also come to Dr. Flores. So, Doc, public health. Now we've talked about the geomorphological aspect where we have the human and then the geological aspect combined. And then we talk about governance and all that. We've also heard or read that again, waste management has become a problem, right? I know probably it may not be within the mainstream of public health, but we know that there is a nexus between improper waste management and also public health. So also based on what you've read, based on your experience working with communities in Accra, what do you think? What is the aspect of waste management in all these things that we are discussing?
So waste management plays a very big role in all of this. Um,
Hmm.
of course, we can't stop the rains. The rains are bound to happen because one of the reasons, still within this area of public health and global health, is climate change. And so, whatever happens, the rains will come down. But waste management, if we can solve that, it's going to really help. Because the issue is that over the years, we've been talking about managing waste in Ghana, and people are not changing their behaviors. When people dump waste into the drainage systems, they block them. And so all of these waters that Fred spoke about coming from high land areas to Accra, which is a lowland area, they are going to block, these wastes is going to block the drainage systems. And so the water that is coming from the um high rising areas is not able to flow through. And so they end up blocking drainage systems, they end up blocking the gutters, and that is what results in increased flooding. And this is a behavioral, it is a public health issue, and beyond us saying don't throw rubbish here, how are we helping people to change behavior? So that is one conversation we need to have.
Hmm.
Um, there's some aspect of behavioral change that has to do with helping people change behavior. So what opportunities are you giving people for them to change their behavior? What motivation are you giving people for them to change behavior? And so we need to put all of that together. It is not just saying that stop throwing refuse here. It is like me and Fred said, it is a transdisciplinary approach we need to enforce. And I'm sure we'll talk more into detail as to how to enforce these things, but
Of course,
waste
these
is the
things. Yeah.
issue in all of this.
Yeah, agree. So, you know, in my department, environmental engineering, what one thing that we do is that when the issue comes like this, we do a system dynamics analysis, and I'm seeing something like this, like, this connects to this connects to this. If this happens, it's likely this will happen and all that. But one thing that we've not talked about, and this time I'm coming to Papa, is AI, right? Yes, AI does not really connect to the flood, right? But when I went to Singapore, I saw something that they are doing, which is very, very, very interesting. And they were using AI. Papa, we want to know, like, how do you think AI can help in this? In what ways do you think artificial intelligence can help in this? Like remote sensing, like now we have geo AI and all that. How do you think can help in this, especially in detecting these floods?
Yeah. So the thing is that AI cannot prevent the floods. The
Hmm,
best we can do is prepare for the floods or help us to know what to do when the floods come. The good thing is that Ghana has had flood issues for so many years. And so that means we have
hmm,
a lot of data. And
hmm,
so experience will tell you that the more you go through something, you gather more experience, you gather more wisdom. And so, just like that, we have enough data to be able to create a very good prediction model. So, this is where AI comes in. I think there are so many things. As you mentioned, remote sensors, we have the geospatial. When you bring all these components together, we should be able to create a model that will tell us that based on the trends or based on the weather patterns, it's possible, or
hmm,
there's like an 80% chance of flooding in this area at this time. And so we
hmm,
have to do something
hmm,
about it. I think it's the same
hmm,
thing that Japan does for their disasters. And so
hmm,
I think like we are sitting on a gold mine since we've had the same issue. I believe NATMO and other state-hold agencies have the data. And so I think this is the time to create a very good model, because for AI, the more data you have, the better the accuracy. And so we have everything we need to start creating something.
hmm. Great, great. So if you say we are sitting on a gold mine, what do you mean? Is it that you believe that the data is there, and then the data can inform more of an evidence-based policies? Or is it because you think the AI has come to help us or contribute to the solution?
Yeah. So the thing about AI is that AI is created for a specific purpose, and
Hmm,
the the effectiveness or the efficacy of AI is dependent solely on the data that's fed. So we cannot
hmm,
take the data from, let's say, the UK or Japan and you apply it
hmm,
in Ghana. It wouldn't be that accurate because there are many things that change.
hmm,
Weather pattern, behavioral pattern, the social network changes. And since, for so many years now, Ghana has been experiencing the same issues with flooding. So, I mean, I expect
hmm,
that the agencies do have the data about it. I mean, no one should tell you that if there's any flood, we know that Circle is a hotspot. You don't even need AI to
hmm,
predict that. We know from
hmm,
experience. We know that Alajo will get
hmm.
affected. We know that the major hotspots. So with this kind of data, we can be able to do a lot more. So that's what I mean by gold mine.
Okay, okay. But I'm very, very pessimistic when it comes to discussing data in Ghana. I don't know if any of you, throughout your research, has tried to access data from Ghana, and you were able to get it. So is it that the data is there, but when you go, they don't want to give you the data, or like, I don't know, because I don't really trust going back to Ghana to get data. You understand? But I think it's true that yes, there is something that we can use AI to do. And I say when I went to Singapore, that's one thing that I learned from how they address their flat, especially with short-term alerts, right? And it was very, very interesting. Every driver has this more like a device that when there's flooding in certain areas, if you realize that in Ghana, when there's flooding, before the driver even hears of it, they are already, submerged. The cars are already submerged in the flood. But for there, quickly they get information. The AI distributes the information, and the AI tells you alternative routes that are not inundated, so you can just move to those areas. And I think that is very something very interesting that with AI and also with the right data we can do. So Dr. Nee, you talked about governance, and you talked about policy and all that. I want us to delve a bit deeper into that. What do you really think are the roles of these institutions, and what have been the challenges? Why are they not um executing their roles as they are expected to do when it comes to governance and policy and all that?
So, regarding the various institutions, I wouldn't pick on all of them, maybe just a few. So, for
Mm,
example,
sure.
if we pick the Ministry of Works, Housing, Water Resources, the question we should ask, how are they coordinating a national urban flood strategy? Because you are
Mm,
handling water resources, housing, works going on in the country. What's going on? Ghana Hydrological Authority. You should have some real time hydrological infrastructure data with the MMDAs and other researchers who are connected to your institution. Ghana Meteorological Agency, yes, you do weather forecast, rainfall warnings. How automatically do you have the forecast that they can automatically trigger alerts to people that when you
mm,
realize that okay, you've done, as Papa mentioned, using the AI, the data you feed it would help you to model something. So once you've fed in the data, you've used AI and other resources like the remote sensing, various GIS data sets, you can
mm-hmm,
automate that setup and get triggering. Any alert comes, okay, there's going to be an increase in rainfall within this season or this period. You can give alerts to the citizens. You pick NADMO. Yes,
mm,
emergency response, but there needs to be a stronger emphasis on the preparedness, not only disaster response. For example, anytime there's a government change every 4 years when
mm,
we elect people and there's a change, the officials change, the personnel change. Are they prepared to do the work? Do they know how to coordinate and do that work? Are they
yeah,
physically
we lose
available?
institutional memory.
Exactly.
Mm,
So I was listening to a radio show and suggestion was that NADMO should be a subset of the military because when there's an
mm,
emergency or disaster, the military don't go in and they don't know what to do. They're able to improvise.
mm,
They come with the right tools and
mm.
get things done.
Yeah.
Another
Mm,
huge thing is even the EPA.
mm,
We from the floods, we know that yes, waterways, wetlands are being destroyed. That is influencing
mm,
the amount of flood that is happening. There we should ask, okay, the EPA should work more closely with the planners to prevent the wetland
mm-hmm,
loss before development occurs. You come to the MMDA's Lands Commission, surveyors, town and country planning, you should have some data as regards risk prevention, flood susceptibility maps, land allocation, where you're allocating the land. Are these flood prone areas? Yes or no?
mm,
You have the equipment because I was listening and I heard that some of the MMDAs have these drones to use.
mm,
With a drone, you can fly over the area, if not every month, you can at least do it every 6 months or every quarter to determine the change
mm,
in the area. You know your
mm,
waterways where people are building and you evict them. You don't wait for a disaster or the hazard, as you mentioned at the beginning of the program. You don't wait for the rainfall to
mm,
increase, disaster strikes, then we start running around looking for solutions. So these are just a few of them. And last but not least, the researchers planners, environmentalists, Ghana Institution of Engineers, the universities. There are a lot of researchers doing research into flooding, into urban planning. So
mm,
then how are we using the data that they are churning out to us? The research is
mm,
done and is kept on shelves. How are we embedding it into the growth of the nation? Because here in Japan, for
mm,
example, you realize almost every lecturer is connected to some institution in government and they are working on
mm,
projects to improve
mm,
the nation. So any research that is done is going to feed into development of the nation. So if we
mm,
know and have the data and the information, we can fix it. So
mm,
for the institutions, they are bound and we keep creating new ones. Are they working together? Do they know what they are about?
mm,
Why can't they work?
mm,
What measures do we have to determine you're not doing the right work? Please move out, or how do we hold them accountable? Those are questions we have to
mm,
start asking ourselves to at
mm,
least understand the problem and know how best to deal with it.
mm. Yeah, yeah. Thank you very much. You see, while you were talking, I was just, reminiscing those times, social studies and all that, right? These are things that, we've been learning, we've been talking about poor whatever, poor institutional,
Yeah.
whatever collaboration, what all these things, social studies. We've been learning all these things, but it seems like we are not adhering to them. We are not trying to leverage them to solve our own issues. You understand? And you talked about the collaboration between academia and the institutions, right? Fortunately for me, the project I'm working on in Japan here, we are collaborating, my university and then University of Tokyo and JAXA and other institutions are trying to develop a more advanced flood early warning systems for Japan. We call it the today's Earth, right? Which can, forecast around 72 hours. So now we have somewhere around 24 hours. So we are trying to improve it. And if you look at the consortium, it's not book long things. So we have like private institutions, we have consultants, and then we have JAXA before even the academia comes in. You understand? And we all try as much as possible to collaborate and do this. But you see, unfortunately in Ghana, you don't have that because planning school, K University Planning School, has done a lot of research on floods in Accra. I know a lot of them who are doing these kind of things. But as you said, how are we leveraging these insights, right, to solve the flood issue? Dr. Florette, I'll come to you. There is a message here on Facebook from uh, Aframia Suya Ochre. And then I think it's related to the behavioral issues that you talked about. And then she said, it is exactly, doctor. These same people, when they come to Japan, they won't throw rubbish indiscriminately. So I think she's supporting your stance regards to sanitation issues and how it is causing floods. I want to ask because I know for public health you do more of behavioral change programs and studies and all that. Why do you think is what is causing this? Why is it that when people are in Ghana they tend not to adhere to any laws, like when it comes to, let's say, sanitation, they do whatever they want, but when they travel outside Ghana they respect the laws there? What is causing this?
So yeah, this actually a very big issue. And just
Mm,
when I heard Aframia's comments, what came to mind
mm,
was one thing. If you notice in Japan, there are CCTV cameras where we dispose of our rubbish. That is
mm,
something that we do not have in Ghana. People respond
mm,
to being watched. And this thing is not only an individual thing. It is
mm,
individual and it is governmental. I'm not going to put all the
mm,
blame on individuals. I'm not going to put all the blame on governments. It is the entire system that has failed, and
mm,
that is resulting
mm,
in people indiscriminately throwing rubbish away. So I was talking about
mm,
the COMBI behavioral framework, and which
mhm,
um that's whether people are capable. Are people capable of throwing away their rubbish? If they have to pay money
mm,
to dispose of their rubbish, for those who cannot afford, really, what do they do?
mm,
Opportunities. What
mm,
opportunities are being handed over to them for us to ensure that people are throwing away their rubbish? Are we
mm,
providing enough things? How
mm,
strong is our waste collection system? If we say that
mhm,
people should come and put in their rubbish in one particular big waste
mm,
dumping container, are we ensuring that
mm,
there's somebody actually coming to pick it up to take to the land site, landfill site, or recycling site, for example? And then the M is motivation. Do people
mm,
understand why they need to throw away their rubbish in the right way? And so when you look at the difference between Ghana and Japan, using Japan as a case study, you can see this clearly. People in Japan understand why they need to. And if you realize in Japan, so there are individuals that are actually ensuring that the right thing is done. In that, if you
mhm,
don't even recycle properly, for example, today is for burnables, and then you go and
mm,
include plastic waste, somebody actually brings it to your door. And that is
mm,
the kind of accountability that we lack in Ghana. We see somebody
mhm,
throwing a sachet of water on the floor, and we complain to ourselves. We do not prompt the other person, hey, pick up your trash and take it home. We do not.
mm,
And there is no one monitoring. For example, if you tell people that if you later you're going to pay 50,000 cedis, trust me, people will change. So, like we all keep
but
saying, the
doc,
rules
yes, but you see the context, as a social scientist, sometimes I like to look at the context, right? The realities surrounding whatever is going on.
are.
Do you think, if you go to Ghana, I've not done a study on that, right? People, the section of the communities or the people who mostly do this kind of indiscriminate sanitation behaviors, right? But from experience and from just observing, I can say that most of them are from the poor, setting, right? So don't you think that if we arrest people, we start saying that, okay, if you do this, we will charge you 50 cedis. Don't you think that Insawam will be full? Because those people obviously wouldn't have that 50 cedis. So would we keep
Exactly.
sending them
That is
jail,
why
or
they,
we will have to find
that is why
alternative?
that is why they will
Mm,
not do it. That is why they will
okay.
not do it. If I know that if I throw rubbish in the middle of the road at night
Mm,
when nobody's watching, there's a CCTV camera here that will enable them find me and ask me for money. And I know I cannot afford, I will not do it. Sometimes
mm,
just saying that do not, or just educating people. Sometimes only education is not enough. We need to bring everything together. I'm not saying that education is not important, it definitely is. But we need to
mm,
bring in things from different angles to ensure that
mm,
the right thing is done. And so, whilst you're
mm,
educating them, we let them know that this is the enforcement rule. If you do not
mm,
throw away your rubbish properly, these are the consequences. And trust me,
mm,
behaviors will change. Of course, if they
mm,
cannot afford, they will not. It is because everyone feels like nobody's watching, and even if people are, I can't be touched. And so that is
mm,
why. Of course, that is from an individual point of view, but coming to government,
mm,
how are we
mm,
managing all of this rubbish? Because whether we like it or not, there's rapid urbanization in Accra, and
mm,
it's going to continue along the years, in conjunction with climate change I spoke about. So, how is
mm,
the government really coming together to ensure that we are able to meet the requirements of waste being generated in Accra? Because we are not going to
mm,
reduce in population, we are going to increase. And so, we need to put measures
mm,
in place. to be able to put together a task force which will manage waste properly. And so the management itself, not just the collection, but the management in itself, so that because all of these have forget the flood. After floods, there's an increase in diarrheal cases. Children, so
Mm-hmm.
studies have shown that after flood, children between 5 and 15-year-olds have increase in diarrhea cases, malaria cases. Why is that? All of these mixture of waste and flood water is all coming together and are going to our wells and are going to our boreholes, and people are drinking them and all of that. All the water from the landfill sites where we have dumped all our wastes, they're all coming back into the water. And so all of these are causing issues. So it's not even just about, oh, how houses are flooded, oh, people have lost their business, oh, some warehouse. It goes beyond that. It goes into health, it goes into finances, it goes into so many things. Just forget physical health, mental health. You spoke about somebody who lost his girlfriend, and up to now he's unable to get married. And so it causes damage beyond what we can even imagine. And so we need to really work at solving all of this from different angles and doing it aggressively.
Great, great, great. Thank you very much. So we will go on a short commercial break. We will be watching some of the flood videos, and then when we return, we are going to zoom into solutions. What solutions really work, and then we will look at them. You can look at them from your own studies, and then we can also look at them from sister cities, from other areas, other cities. What do we think will really work for Accra? So let's hold on, and then we will be back.
Noni nyina na efe eji joy ni timo di noni biani ni wonne ma bi di nche loka wo gungwajo enu jomli. Noni di enyo ka wanye beji gba here ka wonu pure water wanwe wa foshi wayeni wanwe wa foshi fe eboti onu joy amli di kenti numbodne keke ewo fe ke bala pesie na nya wona wole ake blema ku pesie na aba he olo ebi ene abatoka sinene ebele na kendo ahelo atoka etume anitu mohe kaji odemocracy na no kwa bekwe nitu mo wulu yajeme na keno okwa dro nitu mo wuji yajeme kaji bo obele shapo ni me ke dai wonu jomli ne baboti o shapo amie aneba ngo na lo oba tanyefai eneme jeni nisa aka enyene ya no ni neba ne eyan eko eja ka isho aye awole no funo ni botu amliye na kuo ese eba no wono ni nyana ne eba eko ni ya do fe sani aja laboma doctor botu eja ledete kotokumi ke laboma kotokumi na ka lo ba bia ke me bia ba lo ni neta God for say no me kuma ni tumo he ye bia ne wo ba kpanyefai ye me ni nye yo hia wo hia hiamli ni wo fi one kani ne de no papa fe money wo ba kpanyefai laboma ke ada biti say ni yo bia ne amefe ke pono biti amefa me kpanyefai akenye to bediano ni ne kani no ne ese afo ni laboma ye ne aba ni ye kejo eba se bi osi ye abaku ko odomo Besi ano ba abeku fe biosi ni fe laboma normally ni fe be ba bua ni no na ne fe voilà so
So this husband found himself in a very difficult situation during the floods in Ghana. Thankfully, he did everything he could do to save his wife and child. And with the help of neighbors, they were brought to safety. What would you do if you found yourself in such a situation? Moments like this remind us why it is important to have a good relationship with our neighbors. A true example of community support in difficult times.
Catch them for me.
They should open it because the water is inside the
Masa, who might be like who?
The thing, if you check the weather, it will rain throughout the whole
Wait,
day.
I will take them to you. Hey. 1-1. So you know what they happen here? Nobody talk to the woman. He said they're okay. Give me. You come. No, come. Come.
So, raising contract. No, go inside.
Bring here.
Okay, fine.
Master, see. You see, when you open the gate right now, no problem. Come.
Hold the pad.
Now you come.
You are going with
That is still holding leg ahead.
When you know a minute for you, you come. Hey, come. Blah.
Early morning, Maminabu. If I join, who do the video? Who reports live?
Oh, this is. Hey, now more. No, I don't know. Never drink. Hey. Wow. And video. What's it for? Nina, we're channel. Another one. Oh. Say the guy didn't put it here, yeah? One said, I had here. Hey, but that's a good day,
President, yes, you. The motor is gone. The motor is gone. The motor is gone. The motor is gone. The delivery is also gone. Sister Aquano Besu.
This guy is the most stupid guy I have ever seen. Hey!
Aka ye drew a don't know now. Another problem.
Okay, welcome back. That's such devastating moments, and as I indicated earlier, we send our should I say condolences or sympathies or whatever to all those who have been affected by this situation. Yeah, it's sad. It's sad, but I think there are things that we can still do. So quickly, let me start with Mr. Siao. So what works? What solutions work? Looking at the history and also the research, the analysis, the discussions. What do you think will work in this situation? And then from there we will move to Dr. Nee and then Dr. Floret, and then we will end with Papa. Yeah. So let's start from Mr. Siao.
Yeah. So what works? I think where we are now, it's a bit difficult. It's a bit difficult, and looking at everything from the, if I will talk from the geological point of view, I believe that we should do more geological service in Accra, more studies on, the drainage networks in Accra, and understand it well. Yes, we are talking about the rainfall, but one thing we do not consider also is that because Accra is close to the low-lying coastal areas, the water table is very, very shallow. Okay, so once the recharge is not, so good, the underground water also contribute to it. Okay, so we should have these studies, and one of the biggest things I believe is causing is increasing the velocity of the runoff into these areas is what is happening uphill in Ebri. If you've realized all these construction works going on in Ebri, they are clearing the forest covers, and so the water is just flowing downstream, and it's affecting all these things. So I mean, the people planning our cities should pay more attention to some of these things. And I'm sure you can talk about it with GIS. We can do a whole lot. Like, we don't need to even move into the field to do anything, right? We can sit in our offices and do it. And there are a lot of for Accra, of course, the urbanization. So a lot of pavement going on, right? But we should make sure that we reserve the places that should be, if it's supposed to be a wetland, we should reserve it, so that when we have this excess water, the runoffs, they can go there and have a way to go back into the groundwater system. I believe the other things we can do is having these storm water, the runoff ponds, and in Japan they have dams that they have, like, it collects the water and later on they use it for irrigation and all that. So these are some of the things we can do in terms of the physical aspects, if you are taking away all these laws and everything. But Maybe just to finish off, I will just say that instead of the government just talking about, relocating people, bringing down structures and all of that, we should take our time to understand our physical environment better using all these research that have been done and those that we can help. If we understand it and we get it right, we will know what to do. Otherwise, we will end up solving one problem and then, creating another. So we should rather make that effort. And we are talking about all these research work not being used because government doesn't sponsor. I don't know if you look at all these flood works. If you look at the funding, it's not from our government, so they don't know what the academic people are doing. Okay, but if it's maybe EPA sponsoring a particular lab in whether KNUST or wherever to say, okay, do a flood-prone mapping of this area for me. Of course, he put the money in, so he will expect to get a resource and he will put it to use. But they don't know what is happening because we don't have funding from that side. So I think first and foremost, we should invest in that area first before we go about, causing more trouble for ourselves. Yeah, so maybe that's what I'll say.
And picking up from where um, Fred ended, I would some of what I would say would reflect some of what Fred has already mentioned. So, in addressing the situation, one thing I know is there has to be a framework. Yes, there are different institutions, different parties involved. So then we all come to the table based on our expertise, like how we are doing right now, based on our expertise, and reflect on what has to be done, what is the issue at hand, and how we can resolve it. So, first of all, we look at knowing the risk. So, from my background of geospatial scientist or environmentalist, knowing the risk. So, in this case, we should have a national flood inventory, we should have flood hazard and exposure maps. Wetland and drainage mapping is also important, as well as the historical flood database. We know floods happened in the past, as far back as maybe 1935. Do we know the spots? Do we know the zones? Do we know the water levels? All those things inform us on how to prevent something that's going to happen again. Next step would be from knowing the risk, now we have to predict the risk. So that's where expertise of maybe Papa comes in with the having maybe AI enhanced rainfall thresholds, seasonal flood outlooks, because in the position where Papa has the data from Fred pertaining to the geology, Flored brings the data pertaining to public health. I bring the data about GIS, flood exposure, hazard zones, wetland mapping. Papa with the AI is able to train it in such a way that we can determine what to do where when the situation arises. So we can prevent it by having the information beforehand. So we always say prevention is better than cure. So if we know the problem and we are preventing it, we stop it from even happening. So we don't even have to bother about curing it. So from knowing the risk, we predict the risk. And even in predicting the risk, yes, we can have some near real-time flood forecasting as well as dynamic risk dashboards. Know the risk, predict the risk, reduce the risk, prioritize retention ponds. As Fred mentioned, retention ponds. Water is flowing from upstream going downstream. The intensity of the water simply means that there's no obstruction to the flow. Trees have been cut down, deforestation, waterways have been built in, so it's breaking everything down. Reducing the risk, you prioritize your retention ponds, restore strategic wetlands or areas which are going to help. You have some retrofit drainage bottlenecks, put them in place and restrict development in high risk areas. Next thing you have to do is to respond better. I don't know personally if per NADMO or other response agencies whether there's an evacuation plan, evacuation route optimization. For example, in Japan here, when there's an earthquake, before the earthquake happens, you have been given an orientation as to what to pack and have on the side. If the earthquake happens, pick that bag and move out, and you know where you should gather. So right now in Ghana, urban development planning is questionable. Are there evacuation plans optimized over time per the change in the urban area? Do we have emergency logistics planning? I was listening to a radio station over the week and I heard something like the fire service, one of the fire service stations hasn't received a tender for over 15 years. Meanwhile, the country has changed and evolved. Urbanization is increasing, and we are not looking at the key agencies to add on to what they have. We also haven't considered shelter location analysis. We want to relocate people to safe zones. Where are the safe zones? Do we have that data? How are we criterizing, setting the criteria that, okay, this is a safe zone, you can be here? For how long is that going to be? Who is in control? Is there any plan, like a damage assessment being done? You have your drones flying, you can easily assess a before and after. You have satellite imagery, you can see before the flood, after the flood, and identify key zones which have been destroyed. Then you know potential areas to avoid having people building. And last but not least, learning and adapting. Post event satellite mapping, damage and loss databases, update the flood models, evaluate whether interventions actually reduce these risks. Those are key things we have to be looking at. And picking up from other aspects that we mentioned earlier, if we are going to look at other countries, we can pick some of the things from them. For example, for the Netherlands, like this, we can restore the floodplains and avoid development in natural storage areas. Singapore, re- you consider your runoff, understand it, require runoff control, retention storage. Look at how that improvises your development you want to make. Look at Japan. They have flood maps. I've seen it. I'm a local citizen. I've seen it. It's not hidden in some repository where I have to pay or I have to know people in power to see it. How is that being used in Ghana? Look at China. They have a pilot sponge neighborhoods. I had a colleague who was researching on that, having a sponge city. So the water comes in and the ground is permeable, not concrete everywhere as we like to do in Ghana. Are your surfaces permeable? That I know is more of Fred's expertise in geology, but the nature of the surface. If you reduce permeability, you increase runoff, and there you have high disasters from the flood.
Yeah, you done.
Yes, yes. Sorry, you can take over from.
Okay. So I'll just take over. Nini has said a lot, and Fred also said a lot. So basically, from where I stand, from my a public health point of view, I will put these solutions into three parts, and I like to call them the three P's. So then we have prevention, and then we have preparedness, and then we have post disaster management. And Nini has spoken a lot about the prevention and the preparedness. And so just to from my point of view, talking about prevention, how do we ensure that when the rains hits, the damage is not as much? And one thing I always say is that the success of a natural disaster is not measured, the natural disaster preparedness is not measured by how many people we could save, but how many people did not die during the disaster. And that is where we need to focus on. We don't want to wait until the problem occurs and then, like the video we watch, we are trying to catch people, we are trying to have solutions that don't even work. And so, from prevention, how are we even educating people when in the face of a flood, for example, because that is the one disaster we all face? How are people prepared? How are they educated for it? And then back to waste management. How are we solving? How are we ensuring that people are not going back to throw their waste into these drainage systems? How are we going to ensure that people are not going to build? Of course, we heard the president say that we're going to break down people who are building in waterways. And then what? Are we going to enforce that people don't go back to build in those areas 10 years from now? How are we going to ensure that? So all of these things come with prevention, and then we go to preparedness. And he has said a lot, so I'll not say so much. But how are we building a resilient community? And these are the questions we should answer in the face of a flood, for example, or heavy rainfall. How resilient is our community? How resilient is our healthcare system to even be able to handle all of these disasters? And so, if disaster happens, for example, you say everybody stay home. Stay home where? People are living in flood prone areas. Are we telling them to stay there? Are we asking them to move to shelters? When they move to shelters, what is the healthcare preparation for them? Do we have mobile clinics that are ready in face of disasters? Are we educating communities to organize? When I was young, in Adenta, we used to organize cleanups once every month. We don't even see that anymore. Right now, everybody is minding their own business. How is the government going to motivate people to start cleaning up their communities, for example? So all of these things come with preparedness. And the other things Papa will talk about with respect to alerting people, ensuring that people know what to do or where to go. Then post disaster management. Okay, the disaster has happened. What are we doing? How are we helping those who are injured? What is the plan for them, for those who are physically injured, those who are mentally affected? And I saw so many videos about people who had lost their businesses, they had lost their money, they had lost loved ones from the flood. People were electrocuted, people died, people are still missing. How are we catering to those people in the aspect of mental health, you know? And then I spoke about the risk of diarrheal diseases and malaria. Are we giving all these communities, or are we distributing water filtration tablets for these communities? And so all of these things play a role. And one thing I want to say is that it is not the work of one person, it's not the work of one specialty. We all need to come together. And one thing I learned from Japan, every time, like, I don't know how often, but at least once every week, the government meets regular people, depending on what solution is at hand. They meet regular people and they have conversations with them together. And so the government needs to work with, like me said, with the institutions, with people who are working on the ground to know what the real solutions are. Of course, we always talk about solutions which are in the textbook. We never implement them, we never enforce them. Why? Because we are not working together. The government makes their own solution, but those on the ground feel like these solutions will not work. And so we need to come together to work together as, like, from people from different fields. And you mentioned, was it Netherlands? You mentioned Netherlands has a 2050 plan. The government funded. They used to have issues with flooding, and the government funded a whole study, which was the whole point of the study was to look at how they could make their country more resilient to flood and cyclones. And after this study, they were able to draw a whole plan until the year 2050. And they are ensuring with timelines that these enforcements that they put into place they are working no matter the government that comes. Let's say that they are a developed country. Let's go to Bangladesh. Bangladesh had a lot of issues with flood. They still do. But if you look at the number of people that used to die 10 years ago from floods in Bangladesh, it has drastically reduced. And they didn't do anything like out of the ordinary, little steps, which they made sure that they enforced. And so they didn't just say, okay, let's do this. And after a month, everybody goes to sleep. They made sure they enforced this. And this is a low resource community. If we compare to Japan, someone will say, oh, Japan, they have everything. Bangladesh is like us. We are all low middle income countries, but they were able to do it. And so I think we can. And so we coming together, bringing all our specialties together and ensuring the government ensuring that each specialty is bringing in some knowledge, I believe will work. So, Papa, I'll hand over to you to talk about AI.
Yeah, I think you guys have said a lot. Let me just make some closing statements. First of all, um, one thing that struck me from the videos that I've seen is the color of the water. You know, when you look at other countries and the flood and the water looks, at least it looks attractive, but it's all brown. And it's very sad. Like you look at the aerial view and it's all brown. And one thing that I've been thinking about is, all the water from the Galamsey sites, all the mercury, all the impurities, mixing up, with the water, and then spreading across the whole Accra. And when you think about it, you see people walking inside, people swimming inside, saving their lives. So that means there's a spread of all these things that we've been, all the issues from Galamsey sites into our homes, and we don't know what we have taken inside. So that's one thing. Um, Also, there was a study by Professor Peniado, and in a study, he was outlining Accra and said that because Accra is on the coast, what happens is that since it's on the coast, slowly the water eats into the land, so the land is going to be reduced. And then he made a projection by 2252 that if Accra is going to reduce drastically, the water is going to claim it. Currently, we have no plans of reclaiming the land. So that means that the land is going to get smaller. And so it's going to get even worse when we consider other factors like climate change, because we know that these the rainfalls are going to get irregular. It might not even be June. It can happen anytime that we have no idea of. We just sleep and wake up and it's flooded all over. And so now it's only going to get worse. That's the thing. And from the videos, one thing I want to point out is that I realize we have no knowledge of what to do in disasters. I mean, we saw the video of a man with a motorcycle, but I don't know why he was just running through the water, and then it just by the grace of God that people came and saved him. Like I'm wondering why he felt he should do it. But let's give him the benefit of the doubt. He didn't know. I don't think any of us has had information or education on what to do during floods. And even schools didn't teach us. I think it's when I came to Japan that they taught us what to do in fire, earthquake, flood. But in Ghana, we are not taught, so you don't know what to do literally. So I'm going to go to the Ministry of Communications since AI falls under them. One thing I did not see, and I want them to improve is the way information was sent, because people woke up and went to work, and when they went, everything was happening. There was flooding anywhere, but there was nothing sent to every Ghanaian that this is this is what's going on the ground, so we should find a safe shelter. There was no information being sent. And I mean, this is something very easy to do. Even when you can collectively take all the data going on in Twitter, the conversations, you can pinpoint exactly where the conversations are coming from. And then based on that, you can even map out the areas, the flood areas in real time. So like we don't need to even go and get any sophisticated machines or anything. They have everything that they need. And I think they can do better with that on how they send information, because information is what will help us know what to do during times of flooding. And I think building on to what Fred also said about closing the gap between institutions and universities, I think I don't see much that gap between the institutions and the universities and the government institutions. So it seems they are doing their own thing. The universities are doing their own research. And every developed country is developed because of the institutions. The backbone of every developed country is the institution. So you take like MIT for example. The reason why US is because these universities are able to make top research, and then the government takes this research and builds upon it. So their policies are not from, they don't just sit in parliament and just say things based on feelings or hearsay, but it's based on evidence that they found. And I think it's something we have to. Unfortunately, when you look at the national budget, you don't see much allocation to research. So just like what Fred said, most of the research funding is from outside. And so even though we do research in Ghana, the data is all from outside, so goes out and doesn't go into our government. So I think it's also something we need to work on. And finally, for AI, I think Nia said a lot about the prediction and all, but I think one thing that we can also add is the flat simulation. Um, we can literally simulate or like by how much or how bad things are going to be. Give us the worst possible scenario with AI, and then based on that, we can know the steps to take one after the other. I believe that all these things are possible and they are not far fetched. I believe even the four of us can sit here and do a very good job. I mean, if we made Fred minister of something and made everyone minister, we can do it. I believe we can, but it's not up to us. And I'm hoping the government, the ministries, they're able to hear about everything we are saying and also implement certain things. And it's not just one of the things we just say and goes, and next year the same thing happens.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I want to add one thing to what Papa said. And so he was saying that when the disaster, he spoke about communication, and was saying that when the flood started, people literally went to work. And I asked my sister. My sister said she's stuck in traffic, and I asked her, "Didn't you know it was going to rain?" And she said no, she didn't know. And so she was stuck at work, and going back was headache. Going for it was a headache. And what struck me was the fact that, like in other parts of the world, let me use Japan because that's where we live and that's what we've experienced. They can call it like, you know, if like there's an earthquake coming or a typhoon, they'll say like this is danger or this is, level A, level B, or level one, level two, level three. And so we know how severe it is based on the prediction. And based on that, they'll say everybody, like also universities should close down. For example, the last typhoon we experienced, last two typhoons, universities closed down, schools closed down, people didn't go to work because they told us that it was going to be a heavy one. And so if Papa, I think this is an AI thing, but with
Yes.
the meteorological people and AI, right?
So actually, Jimet, they actually said they released the information about the rains. But the thing is that they put it on their social media handles. But this is something delicate. That's why I go back to Ministry of Communication. That you don't just put on social media handles. You send SMS to people. You just blow people's phones with it every single kind, whether you have data or not. So I think Nee spoke about it that every institution is working independently, and so you don't see them working together. So like how does Jim? I mean, Gmail doesn't have the capacity to send that kind of information. They have the information, then they go to Ministry of Communication. That this what's happened. You need to let every Ghanaian know that this is the information at hand. But that's not what happened. So for them, they say that they informed the Ghanaian because it was on their social media. But that's not enough at all. Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like there should be a criteria to show that with this amount of rain, all schools should close down or everybody should stay home or move to a higher move to a higher place, move to a shelter or something. So it's not just saying that okay, there's going to be heavy rain, everybody prepare. They should prepare for what exactly? You get what I mean? They should know whether schools are going to shut down, for example, or okay, this is going to be so bad that people should move away from people prone to flood should move away or we are monitoring, so just be careful kind of case, or there's going to be rain but nothing to be alarmed about. I feel like that criteria and that distinction should be there gmet from the gmet people. So
Um, I think when it comes to this information, the flooding that occurred when they spilled the Volta River, the Kosombo Dam.
Diakosombudan. Yeah.
This was man-made. They decided to spill, and the spilling caused flood, and people lost property.
mm,
And anytime I thought about it, I asked myself, how did that happen? Because y- this was something that they knew that they were going to spill on this day. It's going to cause this effect, and we were still not able to tackle something that we ourselves did. So when it comes to something that is totally unpredictable, like this one, I don't know how we'll handle it, because for them, then again, they said they informed the people, they did everything they could, but then we saw the effect. So I feel like this is always a cycle. It's the same thing goes on and on every time. And yeah, for about 50 years, we've still not found any solution to it. I mean, the best, when you look at Alajo, the first time Alajo flooded, what they did was that they increased the capacity of the drains. That was the best they could. And yes, and that was it. So I'm sure this time government is going to do something like that, increase some of the sets. And then
Yeah,
next time
that's
it's going to,
the
yeah,
yeah, that's the problem, right? They always look to just one side, like the engineering aspect, right? But they've not looked at all the other pieces that comes in. So I'm sure they'll put up some committee, and then the people on it will be, I don't know, lawyers, maybe engineers, people who might not, be able to know all the possible factors that contribute to it. So it will be one-sided, and then you solve it, and then you create another problem for the other end. So we saw a lot of other places that are not used to flooding being flooded this time. Okay, because we are just one place is creating the problem for the other. So yeah, I just hope that this, I don't know the steps so far, but following what is going on, it is looking like the usual where government releases money, go and share mattresses, go and share food, go and do this, and then we come back and then wait again. So I just hope, I know they've put up a committee with the military guy heading, and most of these military guys are usually engineering biased, right? And that's that's the only problem sometimes I have. Like, all these things we are saying must happen before the engineer comes in. If the engineer comes, he's just coming to implement what the other people have done. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I hope that this time we can get it right. But
I think one thing too I want to add. I saw a video someone proposed also in tackling Ghana's transportation problem is by creating the canals. So Kole Lagoon, Odono River, Alaj, all these big, we make them canals so that they are not just drains, but then they are canals that we can use for transportation. So then it's solving two problems at once. Because if you look at
yeah.
the flooding videos, you realize the water, how much it was, and then you can follow it through. And that's also for me, it's a gold mine. So this is the time we can implement all that. So we can also make the best out of this issue too.
Okay, thank you very much, guys. Am I coming through?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you very, very much for this insight. In fact, time is well spent. If not, I would have wanted us to look at short term, because you guys have given us a lot of insight, but I'm not sure that, as the economists will say, uh, we lack resources, but we have insatiable needs, right? So I'm not sure we can implement all of them at once. So if not for time, I would have want us to look at which ones should we do immediately in the short term from now till, let's say, the next 5 or 4 years, and then we look at the medium term, and then we look at the long term. But I think this has been very, very, very interesting, and thank you very, very much for coming, Dr. Floret, Dr. Nee, Mr. Siao, and then Papa. Thank you very, very, very much. And thank you, viewers, for watching us wherever you are. Thank you for sending your comments through. Uh, we will also, I think, with discussions with Jafric management, try as much as possible to bring these experts again. And then we can look at the short term, the medium term, the long term, and what they are doing as experts to contribute to flood, if they've done any research and they want to share their research with us, or if they come out with any innovation and they want to share with us. And I can promise you that this team will start something, because when Papa was talking, he talked about something that clicked my mind. And when I went to Singapore, I saw it. And I think this is something simple that we can do to support, especially when it comes to alert, because most of the times, and I said that I'm also working on flood early warning systems here in Japan, so I know how their early warning systems work. I can say that the Garrett project that Dr. Nee talked about has a component of flood early warning systems, but I think it has been implemented to a certain level. They are not done yet. Yeah, they are not done. It has been developed. The forecasting tool has been developed to a certain level. They keep trying it and all that. So I think for early warning systems, we are just hoping that everything will be good. But for short-term alerts, I think there is something that with the aspect of you guys, we can come together and then we can do something with the short-term alerts, and probably maybe we reach out to Dr. Siao of Zoom Lion, and then if he can help us. So we will talk, and then we will back again. So thank you very much, viewers, and thank you very much, our able experts. Thank you for watching, and thank you for listening wherever you are. Good evening once again. This has been Ghana from Japan, from Jafric Radio, Tokyo. Thank you and see you. Yes. Before we go, yes. So there will be a symposium. The Ghana Students Union will be hosting a symposium. So I will let Dr. Flo briefly talks about it.
Thank you very much. So, because of time, I'll just say this quickly. So, all these experts you see here are members of the Ghana Students Union Japan, and there are more of us in different universities all over Japan, and we are studying various things. This year, we are 10 years, and we are hosting a symposium which brings together people from academic, industry, governance, different sectors together in one place. It's happening on the 8th of August, um, 2026 at Institute of Science Tokyo Yushima campus. And basically, we are going to have an academic session where students like us are going to share their insights on what they have learned, what research they are doing, and how it's going to help in advancing global development and development in Ghana as well. And we'll also have a business pitch session where people who have research ideas or general ideas and want to convert into business can come and share their ideas, and we'll have people who will serve as mentors to help them and refine their ideas and possibly get investors for them. And so this is the first time this is happening in person, and so we are inviting the Ghanaian community in Japan to join. And if you are in Ghana and you plan to be in Japan at that time, please do not miss out. We'll crown it all with a dinner, which will start at 5 p.m. that same day. And so please join in, come in, and if there's a way you think you can support, please do support us. You can contact us on Instagram, just search Ghana Students Union Japan, you find us there, or GSU underscore JP. We are also on LinkedIn. You find us there as well. So and we're on TikTok as well. So thank you very much, viewers, for listening to us.
Thank you very much. So we will all try as much as possible to be there at the 10th symposium and dinner, 10th anniversary symposium and dinner of Ghana Students Union. So thank you very much, guys, for coming, and to our audience, thank you very much for watching us. See you again next 2 weeks, same time, same platform. This is Ghana from Japan, and my name is Dr. Prince DACOSTA ABOAGYE. Thank you and see you again. Bye.
Continues to plague us as a nation. Devastating floods that have once again exposed the vulnerability of Ghana's capital, Accra, to extreme weather events. Well, the death toll from Monday's floods across parts of Greater Accra, we know now has risen to 9, with emergency responders warning that the figure could increase as rescue and recovery efforts.
Jinoni biani ni one ma bi din che loka wo dungwajo enu jomli. Woni je nyo ka wanye beti ba here. Ka wanu pure water. Wanwe wa foshi. Wayeni wanwe wa foshi. Fe eboti onu joye amli. Di kenti numbone keke ewo fe ka bala pesie na. Nya wana wali ake blema ku pesie na aba he olo e biane.
Established in the year 1995, the Jospon Group of Companies has become a major source of innovation and sustainability across Africa. The group is dedicated to driving development across diverse sectors and has 76 subsidiaries with the vision of being the most successful holding company and a mission of improving the lives of people. The subsidiaries are categorized into 8 dynamic clusters to provide focused and efficient operations. The Environment and Sanitation Primary Cluster, the cornerstone of our operations. This cluster is vital for effective waste management and sanitation services across Africa. Leading this charge is Zoom Lion Ghana Limited, the largest waste management company in West Africa. From public cleansing to waste collection and transportation, we prioritize maintaining clean, healthy public spaces and promoting sustainable living. Our waste collection services span residential and commercial sectors, employing cutting-edge technology and skilled personnel for efficient, eco-friendly operations. Emerging from this foundation is the Environment and Sanitation Processing Cluster. Key companies like Integrated Recycling and Compost Plant, ARICOP, Accra Compost and Recycling Plant, ACAP, Kumasi Compost and Recycling Plant, KCAP, engage in sorting waste into organic, plastic, and combustible materials. Sewerage Systems Ghana Limited treats and transforms wastewater into usable components. From these, we produce compost, recycled plastics, and alternative fuels, and enhancing resource efficiency. This cluster is also home to our unique medical waste facilities, which uses a microwave technology to process medical waste, safeguarding public health and safety. Others include Zoil Services, Dredge Masters, and Zoom Lion Waste Transfer Stations. Our waste-to-energy initiatives focus on harnessing advanced technologies to transform municipal solid waste, organic waste, and other biodegradable materials into renewable energy sources such as electricity and heat. By capturing methane from